YouTube. While I was waiting for Vaska to return, I was actually asked in my comments by Michael Kide, I'm hoping I said his last name right, about a video which showed what I was really doing with my monk in regards to skills and so forth and runes. So I thought I'd make this little video while we wait. So why I chose the monk in the first place was because of the combat mobility on the monk. I really enjoy that part of the monk. And tanking through damage stats with the option to lean either way towards tanking or DPS I think is a very good pro on the monk. So let's load up the game. Now we'll start with the passive because that's the easiest. First and foremost, we've got your armor is increased by 100% of your dexterity. I went with that of course because it means I can really go for what's considered a damage stat of the monk, the dexterity, and still be increasing my tanking power while I'm doing so. So nice and easy, that one. Secondly, resolve. The damage you deal reduces enemy damage by 25%, 2.5 seconds. Now, usually I don't go around looking for too much information on the internet before I find it out myself. I like to explore these games, really see what's what firsthand, but I'm told, quite reliably I hope, that that damage reduction that you deal there, the 25%, it's kind of an exclusive ability for the monk. No one else really gets anything like that. So I would consider that a very core ability and I've kept that on. And finally, I have the Guardian's Path. Now, the part of that I'm using is the dual wielding part, 15% chance to dodge incoming attacks, while you're using a two-handed weapon though, or spirit regeneration is increased by 25% now. While using a two-hander, the extra spirit regen seems to just bring the spirit regen slightly above using two one-handers, because of course you're attacking faster and you're generating the spirit that way. So, although it affects two-handers, I really feel like it's a bit of a loss without dual wielding. As far as I can tell, this doesn't offer the dodge while using a one-hander and the shield. Now onto the rest of the skills. Now I can talk about them with the default control setup rather than elective mode, because although I think I'd select elective mode on another class, I think for the monk it really works out quite well just to have it like it is. For example, you could have elective mode and put a ton of mantras, but unfortunately you can't because they're actually exclusive. You can only have one at a time, so that's really the only thing you'd want lots of, but the game already has decided that you cannot just stack those to infinity, so that's that. Now on the left click, what I really like about Crippling Wave as an attack is that the entire thing is an AoE, so as you can see, it seems to affect quite a large area. And that's great, because that allows you to apply the passive that I mentioned before, 25% damage reduction on the enemies, in a very wide arc. And I've kept the rune on that as Concussion, because it's one of the most tanky ones. Each hit by Crippling Wave inflicts a 20% less damage for 3 seconds, so that's 45% less damage on the enemies that you've hit, which is just amazing. I think there was another one in there that was pretty neat. No, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. Now on the right click, I've got Tail Lashing Kick at the moment, which has a 50% chance to stun enemies, a group of enemies, seeing as it's an AoE, for 1.5 seconds, instead of knocking them back. It's very useful, because although it doesn't directly offer tanking on my character, enemies that are stunned are dealing no damage. So it's just the effect of tanking without tanking power, which is awesome, and it's actually quite a high percentage of weapon damage as well. Next we have what I've currently got hotkeyed onto 1, the defensive ability, and it's the heal. Really love the heal. The 2130 life at the moment is an incredible amount of my maximum hit points. It's half of them. So this really helps, and I've got a nuke damage attached to it. It's almost as much as my Tail Lashing Kick. It's 130% weapon damage. So if I got too much more life, I think I'd probably change the rune to the one that gives more healing. So it's an increase even at the lower end of the heal, and the higher end of the heal is almost another 600 more. Pretty neat. Skill 2, the reason why I like Monk, like I mentioned at the beginning, the mobility in combat. The opportunity that gives to just dive to the back of the pack and kill some of the deadly casters, or in one of the cases you'll see repeatedly on the video, is when you get those skeletons that summon more skeletons. You know, the game, if you don't have a charging ability like the Monk, you have to wade through the skeletons to get to the skeleton at the back and stop the summoning. I can just dive right there. It's amazing. And I've given it the rune that has a chance to stun your target, because those stuns work on bosses. A lot of the bosses have reduction in the stun time once they are stunned, but still, it works, and it helps. Next, of course, is the skill that I've got in button 3. This is one of my more recent changes. 7-sided strike has got a rune on it now that has a 25% chance to stun enemies hit for 7 seconds from each hit. So if there's only one target, you can actually hit that same target 7 times. There's nothing stopping you from hitting the same target multiple times. So you've got 7 25% chances to stun an enemy for 7 seconds, and that's great. Even the bosses that have a lot of reduction seem to be stunned for at least 2.5 seconds by that on Nightmare mode. Very cool. The other thing I've been having up until then was the Cyclone Strike. Pulls enemies towards you. Very good if you're playing with someone with a lot of AoE damage, or even the Monk itself has a lot of AoE damage. And usually I get the additional range on that, because it's very annoying to try and vacuum some enemies towards you and then miss some of the ones on the edge, because then you have to either cast it again or run after them, and it just doesn't help if they're not brought into the AoE back. And then finally there's the mantra. There's 2 mantras I really like, and 2 that aren't quite so popular with me. I think if I was playing a damaging monk, I would really like the mantra of Retribution and the mantra of Conviction, because they help with that. But the other 2 are the tanking ones. There's the mantra of Evasion that also increases your armor by 20% in addition to giving you a 15% dodge chance. Now when you think about the 15% dodge chance that I already have on the passive talent, that's a lot of dodge. It's 30% right there just through these talents. Absolutely amazing. And it's even got some other great runes. You've got a shield rune that when yourself or an ally that's nearby is brought below 25% of their life, the shield forms around them and reduces damage taken by 80% for 3 seconds. That's easy enough time to sit there, realise you've been injured, and hit the potion key, which is what it really helps with. You don't just die in an instant. But the other mantra that I also really like for tanking is the healing one. Gives you some great heal over time, and you can either, with the runes that currently, increase the heal over time, which is great, or you can get it so it regenerates 3 spirit per second, which is great. You don't want to be out of spirit, ever. You just always want to be generating that, so the fact that you can generate some even towards a charge to open with, or if you're running away from a boss that's hit you very hard and you can't even generate the spirit needed to cast the heal, and your health potion's on cooldown, well, at least you're getting a little bit out of this. It's very cool. Actually, before I end this, I'll try and cut the video so this is actually earlier on. I was wondering if you were interested in seeing the stats while I actually have the rune on that gives some additional dodge chance and armor. So there you go, within 3 seconds of casting the evasion mantra, I have a massive dodge chance of 51%. Bam. And that's with the armor rune on it. So that about covers everything. I realise it wasn't the most interesting video in the world if you were looking for some action, but there you go. And we might as well just cover having my skill tree up here. Sorry, my inventory screen with my statistics on it. If you're really interested in reading out some of these, I'm not going to read them all out. Then you can just pause the video here, have a look, and of course I'll scroll down to the bottom so you can pause and have a look at all the rest. So there you go, that's adequate time for you to hit the pause key. This has been Gaming with Dean, showing you Dean's Monk. Let's hope that Vaska comes back soon and I can do a lot more gaming. See you on the next video.